Hey, how's it going? I just want to share with you a little bit. The theme kind of for this week that I want to talk about is just living our lives set apart and living a life of holiness. And so, what does that even mean? What does it mean to live a life of holiness? Well, it means holiness is being set apart and being set apart for God. And, you know, when you become a Christian, we're called to act differently and look differently and talk differently and live differently. And what it means is being set apart and being holy. To be set apart for God, we have to learn to first set aside time for God. So we have to focus on Him and set aside time to be in His presence. And some of the verses that I have them here on the computer because I'm using the phone here. First was in 1 Peter 1:16. It says, "For the scriptures say, you must be holy because I am holy." So God's calling to us is for us to be holy even as He is holy. And the second verse is in 1 Thessalonians 4:7. And it said, God has called us to live holy lives, not impure lives. And we could go through verse after verse after verse of His calling unto us to live holy and pure lives before Him. And so what does that mean? What does that look like for us? I said first it's spending time with Him, first getting time set apart and set aside in prayer and focusing on God and focusing on getting into His presence, beyond just reading and praying, but getting into God's presence. And in those times in His presence, we'll be able to hear from Him and we'll be able to grow our relationship with Him to another level to where He is more involved in our lives because we've spent time with Him. And even as I said on Sunday, any flame you don't feed is going to burn out. So if you're not setting aside time for God and you're not focusing on Him, if you're not feeding that relationship, you'll lose out on things in that relationship, and you'll feel further away from God, and you won't be able to hear His voice as much either. We need God in our lives like never before. The place that we're at and the time that we're coming into, we need His presence in our lives. So we have to step up and step our relationships with Him up to a new level. And that's what He's called us in seeking after Him with holiness. See ya.